Fairfax is unique in at least two ways. It's a drive pedal that's not really a drive pedal, and it's unlike any other pedal from Strymon. Let me explain. The Fairfax draws its inspiration from the Garnet Herzog, which is essentially a 5-watt Class A tweed circuit-style amp with a dummy impedance load that was designed to plug into the input of another guitar amp. So it's a small Class A amp as a preamp/distortion box. So the second way that it's unique is that the Fairfax is a fully analog Strymon fully analog recreation of that concept in a pedal format using JFETs and a custom galvanically isolated internal power supply that converts the incoming 9-volt DC to 40 volts. That creates a large amount of headroom for the circuit to operate like a tube amp. Now, worth noting, Fairfax is the first offering from Strymon in their Series A line, which will be fully analog, giving some love to the analog team at Strymon. You'll notice that there are 3 knobs and 1 switch with no double functions or press and holds. I think that's another first for Strymon. Anyway, drive and level are fairly self-explanatory, but the third knob labeled sag deserves a little explanation. Sag usually refers to a situation where the power supply is hit with a bunch of output or a strong and powerful transient that's hard to provide power for, so the power supply starves the preamp and the power amp or available current, or sags for a moment. To the fingers, it feels like compression, and it's a vital part of the way that many vintage amps operate. Now, Fairfax's sag circuit goes far beyond what you'd expect to see in the real world from a small circuit like this, and at high sag knob settings, the JFETs will actually unbias a bit and sputter and gate the audio like you'd expect to hear from some fuzz pedals. So at lower settings, it feels spongy, and at higher settings, it's sputtering chaos. It's also fully dependent on the amount of input level you're giving it, so if you're playing it harder, if you've got a louder guitar or whatever, it's going to give you that much more sag. The bright switch is a filter of sorts. The on position is the pedal wide open, and off is meant to tame the high end of a brighter guitar or amp. I've got a couple of guitars here, a PRS McCarty 594 and my old Strat, and today's amp is the Soldano Astro 20 through a UA aux with an emulation of a custom ported 212 cab with 65-watt British speakers. Now I'll play the amp with a pretty flat, clean sound and also in channel 2 for just a bit of dirt. I switched to channel 2 of the Soldano, so it's got just a little more grit on it. I'll start with the Fairfax bypass so you hear what it does, and then we'll see what it sounds like. Okay, I've switched to the Strat. I've got the same amp settings, but I think it's pretty interesting to show the difference in how the input affects the Fairfax in general. I've got a setting I'm going to start out with that's just kind of a nice clean boost. When I say clean, it's got a little bit of dirt on it, but you know what I mean. And it's nice. It just kind of wakes everything up. So I'm going to start with a bypass, and I'll kick this in, do a little change with settings. Since the Fairfax is voiced like an amp, it stacks really well with other drive pedals. I think it sounds best with pedals that are less compressed and with a flatter mid-range, so I have the Red Witch Epiphanous drive in front of the Fairfax. Okay, so there is one hidden feature. There's an internal jumper that sets the pedal to the on position as soon as it sees power, as opposed to the default bypass on power up, which is great if you're using a switcher or if the Fairfax is like buried in a rack system and you don't want to go hunt for it just to engage it. Thanks for checking out the Strymon Fairfax with me. If you have any questions about this or any other Strymon product, make sure to contact your Sweetwater sales engineer or check us out online at sweetwater.com. Thanks.